Hello. I'd like to welcome everyone tonight to our BSIS Alumni Meet and Greet. And I want to thank our alumni who have made the effort to come and share their SILS experience with us. And to get us started, we're going to go around and do some introductions. And then I have a few questions, and we can also open it up to the group and see if there are others. I am recording. And so if we get to the point where folks want to ask specific questions, we can always pause the recording to ask those questions before we end our presentation today. So my name is Lori Haight. I'm the Director of Student Services at SILS. I am our lead career specialist, and one of my favorite parts of my role is to help students get acclimated to alumni life, and then they come back to talk about it. And so thank you all very much. We're going to start with let's start with Jonathan first. And if folks can tell us your name, what year you were at SILS, and what you've currently done or currently do, that would be great. And we'll go ahead and get started.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thanks, Lori. Jonathan Dornberg, I was class of 2019 in the SILS program, and I'm currently in Charlotte, North Carolina, as a product owner for a startup called Manage My Insurance Technology.
Thank you, Jonathan. Brittany.
Hey everybody, I'm Brittany King. I was a BSIS class of 2015, so I'm at 10 years out. I'm currently at GE Vernova. I've been here since I graduated, but the company's changed names. Used to just be General Electric. I am a IT project manager in our cybersecurity space.
And now we'll go to Dottie.
Hello, so I'm Dottie Blythe. I graduated from SILS in undergrad in 2018 and then did the BSMS program, so finished that in 2019. And I'm a current UX designer at SAS Institute, which is an analytics software company based in Cary.
Thank you. And Mohammed.
Hey, it's a pleasure to see everyone again. Thank you, Lori, for having me. I'm Mohammed Al Shantir, graduated from the School of Information Science, BSIS as well, in 2021. Coupled that with a degree in sport administration, BA in sport administration as well. Um, Based out of Greensboro, North Carolina, and I currently work as a healthcare associate with Huron, which is a professional services consultancy based out of Chicago, and I work under their workforce management umbrella. So, for those that aren't familiar, it's essentially ensuring health systems are staffed to demand appropriately, and that that they're holistically aligning labor costs with their organizational goals for whatever health system it is.
Thank you. So I'm always fascinated to find out how your paths from taking classes at SILS led to you finding work that you enjoy and are interested in. And as we were going through with the introductions, they're all just a little bit different, right? To showcase the broad range of SILS opportunities or opportunities you can do with a SILS background. So one of the things I wanted to first start with was coursework that you felt was very helpful when you were here at SILS that has proven so in your work life. So we'll just take it that I won't necessarily call on everybody, but if I'd be happy to have as many people answer each question as want to. So we'll just open it up. What classes at SILS helped you in your career?
I'll kick us off. So when I was there, at least it was INLS 382 and 582. They were information systems analysis courses. I don't remember the name of the professor I took 582 with, but both of those were awesome introductions to kind of business analysis, systems thinking, particularly in technology. I started out as a systems analyst, and that was really great introduction, gave me everything I needed to start that career path.
I can piggyback off that as well. Jonathan touched on one of the courses I was going to say, which was 382, but definitely 385 as well with Dr. Jarahi. That really introduced me into the organizational context, culture, um, communication skills, soft skills that you really need in the professional world, and really opened my eyes. But one that really resonated with me that I still use to this day was INLS 523, which was my first introduction to database systems and data visualization tools. And I was able to, seamlessly transition those skills into learning other data visualization tools that I currently use, like Power BI, Tableau. Um, so really just essentially starting the knowledge base there, it helped me in the workforce today. So
I can jump in. So I'm going to go off the beaten path a little bit. My most impactful courses were some of the electives I took. So I know we all take, and all the numbers are going to be different, so I'm not going to try to number them. But but I really loved a project management course I took where we got a chance to stretch our muscles a little bit and look at the different project management styles. Because I feel like in a technical major, and SILS is becoming more and more technical every year, of course, because we have to be, the world is. Being able to really go back to the roots and say, how are we collaborating? Are we planning before we build something? Are we talking through the different steps of this process or the different ways we can track this process? Those are the things you use every day, whether you're the one managing the project or you're just updating the report on it. The other that I really loved, and once again, I'm sure this one's niche, I took a social media and society class. And it's not necessarily that it was all about social media, because it was, and that was still novel, but the fact that we looked at how those technologies were impacting people. So now, whenever you tell the story of, putting something out at work, we have to explain, hey, this is how it impacts you as we're getting people onboarded to do the thing that we want them to do or use the app we want them to use. So look into those electives. Don't sleep on them, even if they're master's course electives. If you can get in there, they're really impressive.
Yeah, and just to add on to that too, because I was also going to say, like systems analysis, 582 was one that really helped me kind of in my career. But with those electives, also looking outside of SILS, I think that's the strength of SILS because we are so interdisciplinary. I took a UX design course, both at SILS, but my first one was in the J school actually, and I took that my junior year, and that's kind of how I found out about UX design and kind of found that passion. Yeah, just kind of looking at those design courses as well. Usability testing that SILS offers is also great. And with all of these courses too, looking at trying to think about like a potential portfolio piece at the beginning of the semester and how you can curate all of those projects into kind of something you could showcase to potential employers is also really valuable that SILS can help with.
Daddy, that's such a good point about thinking with the end in mind so that you don't get through all these wonderful classes and then be like, oh, that would have been good. So thank you for bringing that up. I also wanted to transition and talk about what experience you had outside of class while you were here at Carolina. And that could be in the form of internships or co-ops or student orgs or anything that you'd like to share that how you spent your outside of class time in the co-curricular space.
I'll jump back in again first here. We'll do the round robin. Um, yeah, so I did a co-op actually with Volvo Trucks in Greensboro for about ended up being about 9 months during college. Did it originally during it was spring semester of my junior year, and it led into the summer, and it was incredibly helpful. I was going in there 3 or 4 days a week and working with their kind of data privacy team. Learned a ton about IT processes in an enterprise kind of global setting. And also, one of the benefits of it too, this was kind of before remote work was really as popular as it is now. I was able to work from home a couple days a week, and it kind of taught me the discipline of how to be productive when you're not necessarily in a big shared environment, like a traditional office space. So I think that for me was probably the most impactful out of class experience that I had.
Thank you.
If we don't want to go in the same order, I can jump in.
Break it up for us, Brittany. Thank you.
Absolutely. So I would second, obviously, if you can get an internship during the summer, during one of the semesters, definitely try to take that opportunity. But I also know during the school year, there's a lot of cool opportunity for you to really hone your skills or practice new ones. I would say get involved with clubs, especially if you're in your first couple years. If you're new to SILS, you're probably in your first couple years at UNC. Go jump in with some of these clubs. They are all student run, which means anybody who's leading that only has like a year, maybe 2 years on you of experience. So you have all the opportunity in the world to say, hey, I'm taking insert class here. Can I try to use these skills in your program? And a lot of times that helps them because, I mean, you're free labor because it's a volunteer program usually to be in a club, but also you're coming in with experience that they may not already have. And I would say that really does also stack your resume, which I know that's looking toward the end of everything, but I've come back to UNC as a recruiter, and I know a lot of recruiters are really also looking for that involvement when you're in internships, but also when you're on campus.
I would second that 100%. I would say to apply your knowledge to areas that you're passionate about. Find a club that, you're interested in. Carolina Sports Business Club was one for me that I love sports. And so if I could do data analytics for a sports team, that's knocking two birds out with one stone for me. So definitely find stuff that you're interested in and apply your knowledge there. I would also say to leverage campus resources like work studies. I know not everyone it doesn't apply to everyone. It's not applicable for most, but if you are able to get a work study, I was able to work with the ticket office, the athletic ticket office, and do a lot of, um, I sharpened my skills in Excel a lot with that work study essentially. And it really does allow you to learn in an environment where they really prioritize developing your skills, developing your professional mindset. And so I would say just to leverage your campus resources and try to find areas of your passion and interest.
Yeah, and just to echo that too, talk to your professors at SILS and see if they have any potential kind of experiences that or help that they might want with students. Because I found that more often than not, they've got projects and you can kind of tag team with them on that. One cool experience that I had was a human factors consultancy student assistantship, and that just stemmed out of a human factors course at SILS that I took, and the professor was looking for some student help for some projects. And that was, yeah, just some really good kind of real world experience that I don't think I would have had if I didn't just reach out to that professor after.
Thank you. I love the common theme that um, I think there is a common theme among SIL students that they're not afraid to put themselves out there a little bit and kind of stretch if it's taking on an opportunity that kind of comes up or searching for one or asking how they can get involved. So that usually benefits them in the long run while it's also helping whoever they're interacting with. I have a couple more questions. One of them is that I talk all the time to students that love a lot of different aspects about their SILS classes. And the hard part is to think about, well, what does that mean? What can I do? And so it's not really a one for one, like, oh, if you've taken this class, then you're definitely going to be in this type of role. As we've seen with when you're sharing what some of your favorite classes were, you're all doing different things, yet, you took some of the similar classes. So what would your advice be to students who enjoy the program, are enjoying learning what they're learning, enjoying the coursework, but they're kind of like, it's a little overwhelming. There's so many options. How do I figure out what I might want to do? And so, any thoughts on that?
I can jump in. So I'll give you I'll back it up. So as I mentioned, I've come back to UNC before as a recruiter. So I've kind of been on the other side of that fence. Different companies are going to have different opportunities for you. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're sending somebody that day with that exact role, but they always have opportunities. Every company that you look at has a full IT team, or they have a full HR team, or they have a full finance team. So there are roles in all of these places, which I know makes it sound a little bit more overwhelming, but big companies or small companies know that they have all of this space. So a lot of times they expect you to come in entry level, and maybe you come into something that's a little bit more general. Maybe you come into a rotational program. Maybe you come into something that has an open-ended title, because nobody expects you to walk in and already know it all for your first job outside of school. They expect you to kind of come in and learn. So I would say if you're really certain about the path you want to take, do it. Jump into that, get that experience as quickly as you can, be a sponge. But if you're a little bit uncertain of opportunities, I would I would look into those rotational type programs. And then on the flip side of that, LinkedIn is such a valuable tool. You can probably find somebody from SILS or at least somebody from UNC in any role out there, especially if it's something that's within your realm. Reach out. They might take a minute if they don't have their notifications on to reply to you, but they will probably reply. Everybody at UNC, from my experience, was always very open. So ask those questions. Be like, hey, I've heard of this data science role. Can you tell me a little bit about what you do? And maybe that gives you some insight as well.
No, I think that's a perfect great points that Brittany mentioned. This is where you really lean on that sales network that you developed and created during your time in sales. You, like Brittany said, just a simple, text, a simple message on LinkedIn. Just try to get a gauge on what you want to do. And the only way you can find out what you want to do is by asking people their experiences at different sectors. And, I talk to librarians, software developers, um, consultants, investment bankers, and I made a list of what I wanted and what I didn't want. And that's essentially how you get into the opportunities that you want. And so I would say to really lean on your network. Don't be scared, don't be intimidated. And then also I would say don't put a cap on yourself. A lot of what you learn in sales is you could seamlessly transition into an amplitude of different sectors and verticals. So, the knowledge that you learn in sales is applicable in so many different areas. So don't put a cap on yourself and think just because I studied, information systems or software development skills, don't put a cap on yourself in the sense that I have to go into this field or that field. It's applied knowledge and it can be applied anywhere. So really lean on your network and just try to get a gauge on what you want to do. Even a simple Google search on, jobs of your interests, passions, and just make a list and start reaching out to people that are in your network and kind of curate the process from there.
Yeah, I think it's a good theme from that, and just generally at SILS and then post grad too is don't feel like you're ever locked in. Like I think I came into or out of my career, out of my courses at SILS and started my career in consulting as a systems analyst. Did that for a couple of years, liked it, wasn't a perfect fit. Did a little bit more of a technical role and was kind of implementing software for a while. That was good. I learned a lot from it, but now I'm in a product owner slash manager role, and that's kind of where I think I found my sweet spot. And sometimes that takes I'm 6 7 years into my career, and it's taken me a while to find the role that I'm happy with. So don't get overwhelmed by the kind of breadth of coursework you can do at SILS. Take it all, figure out what trips your trigger, what you like, what you're interested in. And if you don't find that right away, it's okay. It might take some time, and don't be discouraged by that.
Yeah, just to echo that, I was just going to say try things out, because the best outcome is that either you really like what kind of experience you're getting, or you find out that that's exactly not what you want to do. And then you can kind of keep going and iterating on that process. So kind of looking at it as a learning outcome, no matter what, yeah, would be helpful.
Yeah, I think that's such a good balance between like uh, putting yourself out there to talk to people to figure out what you might like and trying things because you don't want to feel stuck. But then also the idea that if I'm talking to juniors in college and they're like, I'm going to be a product manager, and I'm like, well, that's hard as an entry level job to get. Like you have to kind of put in some time, like Brittany was mentioning the rotational programs, like you have to kind of build up some of your um, strengths in different areas to then be kind of put into teams or then to kind of lead teams. So a stepping stone approach is okay too. Not that we want to limit folks, but we don't want to oversell that like yes, when you finish up at SILS your first job will be exactly what you want to do. It's like sometimes that takes two or three not only function areas but also like types of organizations. I heard some of you mention entrepreneurial size or large or small, like even testing those out. There's only so much time to test all those out as you're a student. So sometimes that's when you're a new professional is you're actually looking into what it means to be in different size organizations. So I think that's all important information to gather that nobody expects you to have figured it out, right? When those students are holding up, it's my first day at kindergarten, and I want to be a product manager. No, not usually, right? Like that's something you grow into and figure out like, oh, that's exactly what I like to do because of how all these skill sets connect with what I do well. So I have one more question that I want to ask before we turn it over and see what might come out of the audience is what was one thing you wish you would have done during your time at SILS that may have helped that as you're having these wonderful career paths, if you're like, oh, would have been great if I had XYZ. Is there something that jumps out?
I'll say one thing for me, just technically, like I took a couple, the 523, the databases course, the Comp 110, which is Introduction to Programming. I think it would have been beneficial for me in the role that I've chosen to take a couple more of those comp sci classes, get a little bit more of a deeper technical skill set. So, don't be afraid to do that. Those are tricky courses and ones that I did poorly in, but I learned a lot from them, and I think they'll benefit you even if you don't go down a technical route.
And I've got one for people who are doing co-ops or internships. Um, don't go to work and just do the role that you were brought in to do. Go in and ask questions. Go in and build a network. Go in and poke around and find out if there's other cool projects that exist. It doesn't mean you're going to work on them that summer or that semester, but the fact that you're aware of them and you know what that real world experience looks like, just step away from the keyboard and go build those connections. You may not necessarily talk to the people again, right? Networking is a skill and you may do that. But on the flip side, now you know, oh, this kind of team exists. Or, oh, you might say, oh, this is the kind of certification I needed to get to be on this kind of team. Or, oh, that sounds really cool. What class do I need to go back to school and take next semester? And that was something that I feel like I didn't have a very big strength in that whenever I did my first internship. I kind of showed up and was like, well, my team's cool. And I stayed in it and I focused on my project and that was fine. I made some friends, but I really could have taken that opportunity a little bit further and gotten to see, what processes am I affecting? What is causing the process that I'm a part of? Because I was in an IT role. What other functions are we interacting with? Do we talk to HR? Do we talk to finance? Do we talk to the social media group? Communications. Like, who else is out there that may have a really cool role that while I'm in school and I can take a couple classes, I maybe should learn a little bit more about. So just don't put your blinders on. It's probably my big advice.
Yeah, I can jump in. So something that I wish I had done as an undergrad at SILS was an honors thesis. That's something that I just didn't know anything about until it was like my second semester senior year, and it was obviously too late to kind of gather all that. But yeah, that's something that I think is a great opportunity for undergrads to do, and I think that that's a strength that SILS has is the professors and like I kind of said before, just kind of reaching out to them if they have any projects. I think that that's something that that helped me with my master's program, or it would have helped me with my master's program, and also any other kind of graduate studies. I think having kind of some undergrad research, yeah, experience.
Yeah, all great points. Honestly, I was gonna touch on a couple of them as well, but the biggest one that stood out to me was my biggest wish, honestly, would be to develop my communication and storytelling skills, presentation skills. That was a huge one for me. You know, I used to be so intimidated in undergrad of those classes where they'd say, "Hey, you have two presentations in the syllabus or in this course over the length of this course, you're gonna have two presentations." And I would dread that day. You know, I would I'd be counting down the seconds, minutes, everything. And so I really wish that I spent more time stepping outside of my comfort zone and taking those roles on and really taking the opportunity there in undergrad to develop those communication and storytelling skills because I can't count how many times they have come, you know, they've become more and more prevalent in the workforce today. And it's really how you present yourself. It's how you, your first impression is everything in the work world. And it all starts with those communication and storytelling skills. So how you present yourself, how you're able to present the material on, different PowerPoint decks. It really is an art, and if you master it in undergrad, then you will forever be have that as a chip on your shoulder. So that's the biggest one for me.
Thank you all very much. Yeah, as soon as Mohammed started talking about storytelling, I was like, oh, we haven't touched on job search and how that would all go, right? So, yes, when you're here, soak it all up, stretch yourself, make the connections, think about things, but then also, how do you repackage that up for the marketplace? So, let's do one round of best practices for, especially in those early interviews when people are like, you're studying information science, like, what do you? And so, what were some things that you found that worked for you to have those successful interviews? Because you all had them because you're where you are now.
I know I met with Lori a few times before my interview process, and that was certainly helpful. But resume review and learning what's out there, same. But also, like genuinely, the University Career Services was very helpful.
Hmm.
I found a couple companies that actually knew what information science was and were interested in it because they had seen the caliber of student that SILS produces. But just generally, yeah, I mean it's a skill set that I've kind of had to work on over time myself, and it's one that you just got to be clear about the types of things you're interested in, the way that you think. I think the way that you think is key to explaining kind of the background of SILS and getting your foot in the door at places. But yeah, again, rely on those resources you have on campus.
Yeah, no, that's 100% what I was going to say is I went to the sales career fair my senior year and I will forever be indebted to it. I met so many people there that understood the prominence of the sales degree. It's, I mean, it's the intersection of business, people, and systems. What more do you want? It's all three in one, you know? And it's really about just forming it into and tailoring it to whatever job you're applying it to, because it is applicable, like I said earlier, not to be redundant here, but it is applicable in so many different realms. And if you just figure out the way to tailor it to whatever you're applying to, you can easily do it just because how versatile SILS is as a degree.
Yeah, I also think in terms of more, I guess, design specific, but really telling that story of the process of how you come to a final design is something that SILS really taught me, and that I could add to my portfolio, that was like, think about the users and the human, and the really that focus on the human centric is something that SILS yeah, does really well at preparing students for, instead of just thinking about if I'm competing against other designers who have a more visual degree or graphic design, what sets SILS apart. And for me, that's kind of that process oriented mind.
And I'm going to flip the script a little bit once again, because I've been interviewing students longer than I've been interviewed. It's been, like I said, 10 years. So it's been a minute since my entry. But I can tell you that whenever I interview students, you can always tell when students are talking about something they're passionate about. You can see the sparkle in their eye. You can tell that this is something that they love to do. And if that aligns with the job in some way, that's a win right there, right? Because companies want to hire people who are excited about what they're coming to do. And you want to go work somewhere that you're excited to work. It's not just, this is a job, let's go do the job. So don't be afraid to talk about something you're passionate about. And it's okay if that's not directly tied to the job. Bring up rock climbing. Bring up the club you were a part of. Bring up that project you did that time in your dorm room just because you were bored and thought it sounded cool. These are all things that show that you are a well-rounded student, that you're coming through with this really cool major, that's a well-rounded major, and you're excited about what you show up to do, right? So that'll help make sure that you stay in an interviewer's mind. It'll show that you're passionate, and it'll really help see if you're a cultural fit for whatever or wherever you're trying to interview. Within that, I would say don't read off of a script directly, but do practice your elevator pitch, right? Get used to talking about who you are. It's such a scary question to get asked for the first time. Tell me about yourself. You sit on that for a while, because how do you define yourself in 3 sentences? I take classes. But what are you excited about? Where do you come from? What drove you to get to this point? Don't be afraid to bring that up in an interview. It's not just, very stiff and formal. A lot of times, especially if it's the culture that you want, it's going to be a conversation. And they're checking to see if you're a fit. You're checking to see if they're a fit as well. And I would also say, make sure that you've already thought through, once again, don't read off of a script, but think through some of the major things you've done. Because you're showing up to this with all these class experiences, hopefully club experiences, hopefully some, maybe you do extracurriculars like play sports. All of those are going to impact how you show up as who you are, right? Like you may show teamwork with a sport, even if it's not a team project, but that still comes through in an interview. Once again, you're excited about it. It shows your character, and it shows how you solve that problem that they're asking you how you solve it, in the same way that Dottie just mentioned. Because interviewers also really want to see how you're coming to that answer, right? It's not just, oh, I did this thing. Okay, how did that improve after you did the thing? What was the problem before you did the thing? Going back to that storytelling that Mohammed mentioned. So I would say those are probably my biggest advice pieces for interviews, whether you're going into it or one day if you're interviewing somebody. Don't be afraid to be excited about what you're talking about, because that just shows who you are.
Thank you so much. I want to take the time to thank our panelists today, because it's so important that we have a culture at SILS where our alums are excited to reach a hand back and walk the next group of SILS students out into the workforce. So that only happens in this kind of environment where you actually get to interact with real life SILS alums, and the things they're saying are so aligned with what you hear in best practices all over. But I think it has a deeper resonance when it comes from someone who's gone through the same program you have at the same school you are. So I want to thank our panelists for showing up tonight. I'm going to ask if it's okay if folks want to get LinkedIn connected with them, if that's a thing. And I'm seeing head nods, so that's great. Thank you. And I'm going to pause the recording so that we can open it up to any audience questions, but then you won't be saved forever on the audience question part. So thank you very much, and we appreciate your time. Well, thank you again. I really appreciated the conversation. I do love to have these events because I get to hear from some of my favorite students who are now doing wonderful as alums. And so it's always fun to catch up. And I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to our current students and share your LinkedIn and hopefully be future connections. So thank you very much for tonight. I'll stay on in case anybody has any questions, but we'll stop recording, and we appreciate you attending tonight. Thank you.